This week in games, a classic Bethesda RPG leaks its way into our hearts and minds once again. Bungie shows off actual gameplay of Marathon, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 releases a hardcore mode that's more difficult than explaining the plot of Kingdom Hearts to your mother. We're going to break it down. Welcome back to Pause Screen, the weekly show where I sift through all the nonsense of the void, and then I let you know what I think is important and not necessarily what's actually important at all. This week we got some pretty cool stuff. I gathered 5 news pieces that I think are worth talking about, and then of course we'll do the usual what have I been up to, what am I playing thing. So I'm going to start off with the 3 smaller. I teased them a little bit in the intro. Well, I'll start off with the 3 smaller pieces of news, and we'll jump into the bigger things. Up first, Xbox's Game Pass Ultimate members will now be able to play some of their own titles, which I think I'm going to check it, and we're going to see footage of some of those here. But yeah, you're going to be able to go into your library and play some of the games you own that aren't necessarily on Game Pass through the cloud instead of having to download them. That sounds pretty cool. I couldn't necessarily find a list of which titles those were exactly. And apparently some of this has already been able to be done on like smart TVs or computers or smartphones. So yeah, now they added this feature to consoles, which is what makes it news, and that's kind of cool. I'm pretty excited about something like that. Sometimes you want to play a game and you're like, I don't really want to wait for it to download. So that'll be fun for some people who have pretty good internet. Up next, I grabbed another smaller piece of news, which is Baldur's Gate 3 has released patch number 8, which will apparently be the final patch to Baldur's Gate. So for all intents and purposes, Baldur's Gate 3 is now content complete. The game had a pretty good run. It came out around a little less than 2 years ago. So 2 years of support on a game that everyone says is great. I've played it for a couple hours and that was really good. I need to go back to it, but I started slaying the backlog a little bit after that, I think, actually. So it got booted to the backlog where I will wait and I'll go back to it. Baldur's Gate 3 definitely on the list. But that's cool that it's now finally content complete. Then the third piece of news, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 released an update that has a hardcore mode. And so I'm going to read some of the ridiculous hardcore mode stuff they have here. Reduced UI, so the health and stamina bar is hidden, and there are no directional attack indicators. There is no longer a fast travel throughout the game world. There are no autosaves. The map is disabled, so it doesn't show you where you're at anymore. You have to select at least 3 permanent negative perks at the beginning of the game, which can significantly impact your gameplay. For example, including increased hunger, increased odor, or reduced experience gains. Now you'll be able to ask NPCs for directions, which makes navigation more challenging. The branding is now permanent when you commit crimes. And there are some perks like Bashful that prevent you from even asking NPCs for directions. And there's one called Somnambulant, which leads to sleepwalking and random awakenings. I don't know. So this game is already known as being a really hard game, and it's like the Dark Souls of first-person RPGs, how it's been described to me. I haven't played it. Obviously, I do a backlog thing. So I'm going to throw it on the backlog, and unless I can come up with like some kind of like this hardcore mode could make it interesting. I could do like a hardcore challenge on it. But this seems like something you'd maybe do once you have learned the game a little bit. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 continues to be an extremely difficult game, and it seems like they're just doubling down on that difficulty. So they're doing the Dark Souls thing where you just say, just get good, okay? I don't know, I'm here for it. I think that's a really cool update, and I'm always here for games getting a little bit more difficult. Okay, so all 3 smaller news items are out of the way. I'd love to know what you guys think about Baldur's Gate 3 finally closing. What you guys think about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's hardcore mode, as well as I guess the Game Pass thing. Like, it's kind of cool, I think. Now we're gonna get into the heavy hitters. I definitely want to know what you think about these. So, Oblivion's remaster It's been rumored for God knows how long, not along with Fallout 3. It's been like years of rumoring this thing. Basically since Bethesda was acquired, we've been rumoring an Oblivion remaster of sorts. Apparently, Jeff Grubb kind of corroborated some of this, so I'm going to go ahead and say that it's probably legit. But apparently, these screenshots that leaked online, which I'm going to put them here-ish, and the game's shadow dropping next week, which is just insane. That, so there's a couple things about this that I think are kind of weird. You presume that next month Xbox will be holding an event, or Microsoft will be holding an event for the Xbox, because that's like E3-ish time. So you assume there's going to be an event next week. We're going to drop the Oblivion remaster a month before the event. That seems kind of weird. We're not going to announce anything about it. We're just going to drop it. The other weird thing to me is that it's not a milestone for Oblivion. It is the 19th year since Oblivion came out, which is just like, I mean, if it was the 20th anniversary or something, I could see that. Let me tell you what they are saying about the remaster that's supposedly leaking. It's made in Unreal Engine 5, which we all think is kind of weird, right? Creative Engine. I thought that was the whole thing with Elder Scrolls or Bethesda in general. Blocking inspired by the Souls-like games. I love the sound of that. The sneak icons are now highlighted. The stamina system's been modified. The HUD has changed. Hit reactions are added, and archery was overhauled. I need to know what that means, and then I also need to know, like, there's so many questions about ways you can make this better. Like, the dual-handing mechanics of Skyrim, I assume we're going to get that in there, so magic's going to be even better. The thing about Oblivion is, it is maybe my favorite RPG of all time. I think it's better than the Skyrim. I think the side quests are more interesting. I think most of the story is probably more interesting. Honestly, the only thing that's lacking is dragons, but it's got gates that take you to hell. I'm excited for more people to get to play Oblivion, because a lot of time you'll talk to people and they'll be like, oh, I love Elder Scrolls. Skyrim's great. And then you'll be like, what about Oblivion? And they'll be like, what's that now? Who's that now? Never heard of her. I know people who love Morrowind feel the same way. I played Morrowind for the first time a couple years ago. It's pretty good, but it ain't no Oblivion, you know? And I mean, I know the Morrowind fans say the same thing about Oblivion and Skyrim. So, for me, I get where people say, like, Oblivion's the game that turned the Elder Scrolls into Lord of the Rings. And before that, like in Morrowind, it has kind of its own identity. Either way, this is very exciting news. I hope the Oblivion remaster does drop next week, because that will derail the backlog, probably, a little bit. But I do have a really good Bethesda video idea that I was going to do in either Skyrim or Fallout 4. But if this Oblivion remaster happens, it's absolutely getting done in Oblivion. So let me know what you think about the Oblivion remaster. What would you like to see added to the game? For me, it's really just update the visuals, update the controls, don't touch anything else, because that game is perfect. And obviously roll all the DLC into it. Do not make people pay for horse armor again. There's no need for that. Plus Shivering Isles is incredible. I forget the other names of the DLC right this second, but it would come to me, but it doesn't really matter. Include the DLC, drop it all together. For the last bit of news, we have the Marathon gameplay overview dropped, and I want to talk about it because I think it looks good. If I was going to knock the game, the only knock that I have for the game is the art style. I don't necessarily, it looks like indie developer, first time in Unreal Engine kind of art. And I'll put the like parts of the trailer here, but it's an extraction shooter. So for people who don't know what that is, I think Hunt Showdown is one of my, I haven't played that game yet, but I did just download it because now I'm kind of feeling extraction shootery. But Hunt Showdown, there's a game on Xbox called Vigor that I've played a lot. I really like Vigor. Escape from Tarkov's extraction shooter. Either way, what it is you go in with a team of, like, in this game it's 3 people. You go in with a team, you have gear that you brought in, or you loot gear while you're there, and then you have to try to get out without dying to keep your gear. And so you could, go in with nothing and then just try to keep getting stuff. But there's other players. This game actually has NPCs also, which is cool. It's got a very Bungie feel to it. Just watching it, like, you can tell it's Bungie art design, which is fine. The things I've heard about the game that I would say concern me slightly are the fact that they said it's going to be a paid title. It won't be a full price game, but it will be paid. The thing with multiplayer games, especially cross-platform multiplayer games like this one, is you want the biggest player base possible. The problem with charging people money is a lot of people will not pay for a online-only shooter. So I think it'll probably be fine. I think Hunt Showdown costs money. I think Escape from Tarkov costs money and is only on PC and still has a following. You just won't do Fortnite numbers if your game isn't free. That's all. So if their goal is to do Fortnite numbers, they need to take that into consideration. I just don't want Sony to scrap the project since, Bungie's hands are kind of tied on this one. Because I do think it looks really cool, and I do love the idea of an extraction shooter with some of that Bungie originality and that Bungie gameplay. And they show some pretty cool stuff in here, like the abilities and the different guns look cool. I just don't want them to tank their product by charging money for it when you could probably just get around with a battle pass. That's really my thoughts on the whole marathon. I think the gameplay looks really good. I think it looks interesting. It's unique for Bungie for sure. Extraction shooters are something I'm into. I played quite a lot of Vigor. They're definitely more fun if you have friends to play with. That's like any online game. This one having NPCs you can kill while you're out there and trying to get loot, and these worlds look pretty interesting and varied. And it says they're going to do seasonal story stuff, which reminds me of like Chapter 1 Fortnite kind of things, I don't know. I'm in for it. I think that'll be a good way to waste my time. If I can get my wife into it and we can get off of Call of Duty and play this, I'm just saying I'm into it. But I'm just a little worried about them having a price tag. So that's it for the news. Let me know what you think about Marathon. I do think the game looks good. I plan on playing it. Let me know how you think about that format of a couple light news pieces, a couple big news pieces. I don't know how many news pieces I'm going to be able to find next week. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week. I've just gotten into Chapter 4 of Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions, so that will be wrapping up, like I said, in last week's video, either this week or next week. So look out for the Slaying the Backlog for that. I'm on schedule for my internal schedule for what I thought that game was going to be. So I'm trying to keep up on that. I'm still taking, if anyone wants to give a suggestion, obviously I'll put it in the War of the Lions video, but I'm obviously waiting to see what I'm going to play next. There's lots of options. Could be a Kirby game. Could be something shorter, I can get more videos out of it. I don't do another 35-hour, 40-hour RPG. Not saying I'm going to do that. I'm just saying I could get more done that way. I'll play anything. Tactics has been a lot of fun. Maybe I'll jump back into Assassin's Creed. I don't know. You guys can help me decide. Drop a comment. And that's really it for my update. I don't really have a lot going on other than that right now. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for being here. If you subscribed, you're a legend. Just saying.